Hey everybody, Rory from ANSgear. We're upstairs with a brand new regulator from First Strike. This is the First Strike Anti-Hero regulator. So the last reg they did was the Hero 2, and now they've got the Anti-Hero. So a couple changes you can see just in physical size compared to the Hero 2 and the Anti-Hero that I have right here. A couple things that have stayed the same, so let's just get the samesies out of the way. Burst disc, the Pro burst disc and the Pro fill nipple are the same, as well as the micro gauge is the same to boot. So you can see some big differences on the swivel up here, and because the swivel is bigger, the length of the internal passage system is bigger. You can increase airflow, increase recharge rate, and also one little thing you can see is it no longer has this little brass piece down here at the bottom. They, I don't want to say there was an issue, but they had some regs where this piece right here, this brass piece, the brass piece, the top of it meets up with the bottom of the piston where the reg seat is inside there. And there were versions of this where these brass pieces were too far in, so when the piston was coming in, it was crushing the seat at the bottom of the piston and causing an issue down there. Now they've got the basically the nub on the inside where the reg seat's going to push up against it. They've machined that into the regulator now, so we don't have a tolerance or distance issue, and we can possibly run into that problem where the reg seats are going to fail. So that's been, obviously, that's a pretty big difference right there. Longevity for the regulator is increased because you're not going to have that potential problem right there. But let's kind of open it up and see, or let's see what this difference is. On the original one, to rotate the bonnet, you had to lift up this flange right here, and that would allow you to rotate your bonnet. So if you wanted it, depending on how you wanted it to sit on a tank, if you screwed it into your gun and then your fill nipple was pointing up into your wrist or pointing sideways into your wrist, you could just lift that up and you could rotate, and then you could have that in a different position. A lot of these were hard for people to get the hold of and move up there. So they made it a molded section right here that is on a big old spring to help slide it back. Now this one did have a spring too, but again, hard to get your fingers around, hard to get in there and pull that thing up right there. So a larger molded piece, and then by making that larger molded piece, they can expand the size of the reg. Still a very tiny regulator. If we pair these up next to each other, the distance or change in reg size is not too much right there. Maybe ½ inch, ¾ inch or so right there. And it's still, the new Anti-Hero is still compatible with the original spring system. So if you need the low pressure, high pressure, whatever's extra low pressure spring, you can just drop that right in there. They do come preset at about 700, 750 PSI output right there. Let me make sure I'm reading that right. I don't want to say anything wrong. Yeah, 750. So you've got that a little bit higher than mid pressure right there, but you can get those lower pressure springs and you can pop them right in. We're going to open this one up in just a second so you guys can see it. Let's go ahead and weigh this up real fast. So original Hero 2, 4.4 ounces, or 4.4, yeah, 4.4 ounces. And then Anti-Hero, 4.9 ounces. So we got 5/10. That one's 4.3, 4.3, 4.3, 4.3, 4.9. So 6, 5, 6 right there. All right. So again, not a huge difference in weight, not even an ounce. Let's get this open. So to get these apart, you can do this one of two ways. If you have the special tool that they used to put out with the regulators way back in the day when it was still a myth regulator, I still have a couple of them. It's an Allen key with a hole in the top of it. You can see it right there. That's super handy because it slides right over the pin and it can drop right on there. If you don't have that, then you just need a standard set of Allen keys right here. And I think it's this one. No, that was too small. Yeah, so it's a, what is this, a 3/16? Pretty sure that's the right size. Yeah, 3/16. But what you do have to do is you have to push the pin down and then unscrew it right there. So obviously you're not going to be doing this while it's got pressure in it, because you'd never work on your regulators when there's pressure in the tank. You always degas before you do that. But to have to push it down and turn, it's not difficult, but it's not the easiest way. So if you happen to have one of these, it's great. Maybe you can make your own, drill a little hole in the end of an Allen key. But once you drop that on there, you can just get a hold of it and unscrew it. Ooh, there we go. And that top flange is going to come right off. So if you ever have a leak coming right out the end, this way, boop, it's your pin valve that's leaking. And if we pull this off, you can see our pin. There's a little O-ring at the end of our pin, recessed inside there. That O-ring is not sealing against the top of the flange, and it's letting air come out through the top. So it's easy to get to that and repair that. From here, you can see we've got our threaded section. So let's say you damage your threads, or you damage this top flange. You drop it accidentally, you ding that, you can replace this. You gall up your threads, the threads are bad, you could take that off, you could replace this. Here's the spring that sits underneath there and allows this to move up and down and lock. If we look on the bottom, we can see this kind of, want to call it a hex pattern, but like an Allen key or a slotted pattern right there. And it marries up with this little raised edge right here and allows you to position around like that. And then inside here is our piston and our spring. And here's our spring. We pull this spring off. We would take one of these springs, slide it right on there, and then put it back together. It's that easy to change the output pressures. We got two O-rings there and there. If we have issues, there's our reg seat at the bottom. These reg seats are not replaceable. So if you do have a reg seat issue, it gets dirt in there or something and it fails, you do need to replace your piston right there. So we take our spring, slide it over our piston, drop our piston. Oh, we can take that off. You can see the difference in size between those two right there. Now we could drop our adjuster, or our positioner, maybe we can call it that, on there. And it is molded around a piece of aluminum right there, so it's not all molded. So it's going to be super sturdy. We can put our positioner back in, take our spring, drop it on. Take our threaded section, drop that on. Take our spring and pin, our top flange, make sure the pin goes through, start it in, and then we can take our Allen key and finish her up right there. And there we go, nice and tight and adjustable. All right, so there we have it. This is the brand new anti-Hero regulator. I wanted to show you that in comparison to the Hero 2. These are available on the website right now, plus all the accessories for it. So if you're looking for a new reg, put it on your bottle and pick it up from ANSgear.com.